A very good morning. It's just past 8 this Thursday morning and it's time again for the breakfast show. I'm Rukma and over the next 1 hour we take you through the major happenings from across India and the world. We'll also be taking a look at the newspaper headlines published from the national capital, New Delhi, and of course lots more in terms of news from the world of finance, sports and entertainment. But first, the top stories. Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrives in Osaka in Japan to attend the G20 summit. Various global issues such as combating terrorism, climate change, SDGs, women empowerment and technology to be discussed. PM Modi will also hold several bilateral meetings on the sidelines of the summit. Prime Minister Narendra Modi replies in Rajya Sabha to the motion of thanks to the President's address, says one nation, one election is need of the hour, slams Congress for raising doubts about EVMs. Prime Minister Narendra Modi expresses pain over Jharkhand mob lynching incident, says guilty must be severely punished, expresses sorrow over AES crisis in Bihar, calls it a failure and a matter of shame. US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo calls on Prime Minister Narendra Modi. PM Modi outlines his vision for the strategic partnership with the US. Pompeo also holds talks with External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar on issues of common interest. Union Home Minister Amit Shah reviews security arrangements for annual Amarnath Yatra, calls for foolproof security arrangements, directs officials to ensure that benefits of the government's schemes reach the poorest of the poor. In ICC Cricket World Cup, Pakistan beat New Zealand by 6 wickets at Birmingham to keep their semi-final hopes alive. Third wicket partnership between Babar Azam and Harris helped Pakistan win. India to take on West Indies at Old Trafford in Manchester today. We'll look to maintain unbeaten streak. We'll also look to ensure a smooth passage into semi-finals with yet another victory. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi congratulates DD News Weekly Sanskrit magazine Vartavali on 4 years of successful run, lauds the program for taking the Sanskrit language to the people. And now for our top story. Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrived in Osaka in Japan this morning to attend the 14th G20 summit. Prime Minister Modi's visit to Japan has a clear agenda: free and fair multilateral trade, energy security, countering terrorism and return of economic fugitives. The Prime Minister is in Japan with a unanimous endorsement by all 55 Asia-Pacific Group members at the United Nations of India's candidature for a non-permanent seat on the Security Council for a 2-year term. But top on the agenda will be combating protectionism. The Prime Minister will hold meetings with US President Donald Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping, as well as other leaders on the sidelines of the G20 summit. The summit this is the 6th G20 summit that he will be participating in since 2014 and the first of his second term. G20 members together contribute almost 85% of the globe's GDP. 19 countries, the European Union and several special invitees are participating at the Osaka summit, which will see discussions in 4 sessions. After the SCO summit that holds a strategic importance, this is Prime Minister Narendra Modi's first economy-focused multilateral meet after he took oath for the second time.
Welcome to Japan.
And talking to DD News, Sherpa of the Osaka G20 summit, Suresh Prabhu, spoke about various aspects related to the summit.
तो मुझे लगता है बहुत बड़ी हमारे सामने एक अच्छी अपॉर्चुनिटी है कि सबके सामने मिलके हुए हमारे जो विचार है उनको रख सकते हैं, बातचीत आगे ले जा सकती है। और प्रधानमंत्री जी, आपने देखा होगा कि सभी विश्व के नेताओं से हमेशा मिलता है और आज विश्व के एक बहुत बड़े नेता हमारे स्वयं प्रधानमंत्री बन गए। तो हमें चाहते हैं कि इसका भी लाभ मिले। और आपको यदि पता होगा 2022 में जब हमारा देश आज़ादी के 75 साल पूरा करेगा, उस समय भारत भी 2022 में G20 को होस्ट करेगा। तो उसकी भी तैयारी करने के लिए भी ऐसी जब लोगों के साथ मिलना होता है, उसका भी लाभ मिलता है।
A BRICS informal meet, RIC meet, and nearly 10 bilaterals as well as an India-Japan-US trilateral meet are also on the Prime Minister's packed 3-day schedule. The Prime Minister will also be addressing the Indian community in Osaka.
Future, we see Japan playing even a larger role in India. All the pillars of New India are in one way or the other very much an integral part of India-Japan relationship, and we hope that it will get further filled through discussions between the two prime ministers and other dignitaries between the two countries.
And India and Japan share close ties. Osaka University has an active Hindi department that says Namaste India. Our correspondent Sudhakar Das spoke to people in Japan on the Prime Minister's visit.
मैम, किस तरह से देखते हैं प्रधानमंत्री के इस दौरे को?
हम बहुत बता नहीं सकते, इतना ज़्यादा खुशी हो रही है यहाँ पे आके। और भारत और जापान के संबंध जब से प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी बने बहुत अच्छे हुए हैं, और जापान ऐसे एक डेवलप्ड कंट्री है, तो इंडिया काफ़ी कुछ सीख सकता है उनसे। और हमें बहुत सारी आशाएं हैं मोदी जी से कि इंडिया भी इस बार डेवलप्ड कंट्री में गिना जाएगा।
अभी जैसे देखा जाए ना, जापान में शिंकानसेन का जो प्रोजेक्ट है, जब मोदी जी सरकार में थे शिंकानसेन का प्रोजेक्ट शुरू हुआ। अभी ये मोदी जी का सरकार अभी आगे बढ़ रहा है, तो शिंकानसेन का प्रोजेक्ट भी आगे बढ़ेगा। इंडिया भी डेवलप्ड कंट्री के तौर पे चल रही है। मोदी जी के लीडरशिप पे इंडिया आगे बढ़े। जापान से जो भी स्वच्छ भारत है, जापान भी बहुत ही स्वच्छ है, तो यहाँ का वो कॉन्सेप्ट लेके स्वच्छ भारत का अभियान हुआ। हाई स्पीड रेलवे जो भी जापान में चलता है, उसी कॉन्सेप्ट को लेकर अभी हाई स्पीड रेलवे का NHSRC से मोदी जी ने, रेलवे मिनिस्टर अभी सुरेश प्रभु सर भी थे, जो अभी मिनिस्टर ऑफ सिविल एविएशन के भी है। अब अच्छे लोगों को उन्होंने टीम में रखे, भारत की डेवलपमेंट के लिए अच्छी टीम बनाई।
मैं सोचती हूँ कि जापान बहुत ही ज़्यादा डेवलप्ड है, तो इंडिया काफ़ी सारी चीज़ें जापान से अडेप्ट कर सकता है, और जापान और इंडिया के इस स्ट्रॉन्ग रिलेशनशिप की वजह से इंडिया को डेवलपमेंट में हेल्प करेगा, और आई एम लुकिंग फॉरवर्ड।
मैं एक्चुअली ऐसे देखता हूँ, जैसे अपने स्कूल में आपके पेपर करीब आने वाले होते हैं, तो एक दोस्त होता है ना जो फटाफट आपको साथ में सब कुछ पढ़ा देता है और पास कराता है। जापान एक इंडिया का वो दोस्त बन चुका है जो हर वक्त डेवलपमेंट के टाइम पे आपके साथ रहेगा, आपको पढ़ाएगा और आपको भी डेवलप करवाएगा। मैं आशा करता हूँ कि मोदी जी इस आबेसान के साथ रिलेशन को और भी मजबूत बनाएंगे और हम भी आगे जाएंगे।
उनका स्वागत है जापान में, और हमें उम्मीद है प्रधानमंत्री जी से कि जिस तरह का विकास यहाँ पर जापान में हो रहा है, उसकी कुछ बातें जैसा टैक्स जो भारत में GST है उसको एक रेट पे रखा जाए, और जो जापान में जैसा चल रहा है उसी तरह होना चाहिए।
जापान अभी AI और आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस, डीप लर्निंग, न्यूरल नेटवर्क जैसी आधुनिक तकनीकों में बहुत ही आगे बढ़ रहा है, और हम इंजीनियर जो जापान में रिसर्च करते हैं, हम भी वो टेक्निक सीख के इंडिया के लिए उस डायरेक्शन में उसे आगे पहुंचाना चाहते हैं, क्योंकि इंडिया अभी इस चीज़ में बहुत लैग कर रहा है। इंडिया को अभी टेक्नोलॉजी में बहुत आगे आना है, और हम चाहते हैं कि एज अ रिप्रेजेंटेटिव हम इंडिया में जाकर उसी टेक्नोलॉजी को अप्लाई करके इंडिया को इम्प्रूव इम्प्रूव करने के लिए बहुत कुछ करना चाहते हैं और इस डायरेक्शन में हमें उम्मीद है मोदी जी हमारे साथ हमेशा रहेंगे।
मैंने यूनिवर्सिटी में भी जापान की संस्कृति के बारे में पढ़ा है, इनकी भाषा पढ़ा है, तो मैंने ये देखा कि जापान सिर्फ इकोनॉमिकली और फाइनेंशियली नहीं ग्रोथ किया है, इन्होंने अपने कल्चर को, अपनी सभ्यता को अभी तक इस मॉडर्न टाइम में भी बहुत सहज के रखा है। तो और वो सिमिलैरिटी मैं प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी के केस में भी देखती हूँ कि वो कल्चर की तरफ ध्यान दे रहे हैं और मैं चाहती हूँ कि इसकी भी प्रमोशन और ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा हो, ताकि सिर्फ रैंकिंग इंडिया की इकोनॉमिक लिस्ट में अच्छी ना हो।
5 बजे उठ के हम लोग कोबे से आए हैं यहाँ पे मोदी जी को मिलने, बहुत अच्छा लगा, इतने शांति से सब बच्चों को मिले हैं, वो बहुत अच्छा लगा। हमारे बच्चे 5 बजे उठ के आए हैं, मोदी का नारा लगाते हुए हम लोग वहाँ से आए हैं।
सबसे पहले तो बहुत अच्छा लगा उनसे मिलके, और हम लोग टोक्यो से सिर्फ उनसे मिलने के लिए आए ताकि ये अपॉर्चुनिटी मिल सके। मेरा एक सिंपल मैसेज ये है कि G20 समिट जहाँ पे पॉलिसीज बनेंगी, इंडिया एक ऐसी कंट्री है जहाँ पे जो यूथ है उस देश को आगे बढ़ाएगा, इंडिया को आगे बढ़ाएगा, तो देश के साथ साथ उनका डेवलपमेंट बहुत ज़रूरी है। आज के टाइम पे एम्प्लॉयमेंट रेट इंडिया में बहुत कम है, बहुत सारे लोग अभी भी पढ़ के भटक रहे हैं, उनको जॉब नहीं मिल पा रही है। तो मेरा एक मैसेज ये है प्राइम मिनिस्टर के लिए और गवर्नमेंट के लिए कि फोकस करें, उनको एम्प्लॉयमेंट दे ताकि वो इंडिया को और देश को आगे बढ़ा सके।
टेक्नोलॉजी और इकोनॉमिक सब कुछ सब देशों के लिए एक समान होता है, इक्वली इम्पॉर्टेंट, बट द फैक्ट दैट हमारे यहाँ इतने सारे धर्मस्थल हैं जिनके बहुत सारे फॉलोअर्स जापान में भी हैं, सो आई वुड रियली लाइक कि ये और इनकरेज हो, स्पेशली द फॉलोअर्स ऑफ लॉर्ड बुद्धा, एंड सब हमारे यहाँ है, दे आर ऑलवेज वेलकम टू इंडिया एंड अ वेरी वार्म वेलकम।
And joining us now are our correspondents Sudhakar Das and Neeraj Singh, who are in Japan covering this event. A very good morning to both Sudhakar as well as Neeraj. First of all, Sudhakar, coming to you, the stage is set for the G20 summit this year. The Prime Minister's focus, as you said earlier, free and fair multilateral trade, energy security, countering terrorism and return of economic fugitives, among many others. Sudhakar, well, it's been said that this summit will be very important for the future of multilateral trade in particular. Interestingly, the issue of WTO reforms is said to be a major concern. Even India is majorly concerned about that. That would be one of the focus points of the Prime Minister as he attends the meet. Could you elaborate further on the scene as it is set now?
Good morning, Rukma. As you said, this is very important meeting, and a little while ago, the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, reached Osaka, and you saw how he was welcomed by the Indian community, how the community was excited after meeting the Prime Minister. Certainly, the G20, as far as the future course of action on world stage, on various issues, not only the economic issues, but issues related to terrorism, the sustainable development goals, the climate change and environment, all the issues are important, and all these issues are going to be discussed at the stage of G20. And certainly, as Prime Minister said, that he is looking forward to this meeting, and he will be discussing issues like women empowerment, sustainable development goals, digitization, and focus with artificial intelligence. And these are also the themes of this G20 meeting. As we know that several meetings before this summit happened on issues of finance stability, environment, energy security. So all the outcomes of those meetings were also discussed by top world leaders, and certainly what India is going to say, what the Prime Minister will say, certainly the world would like to listen to India, because India is not only the largest democracy, but also the
मोस्ट यू कैन से जो सबसे बढ़ती हुई दुनिया की जो तेजी से अर्थव्यवस्था है भारत है। और ऐसे में अगर पिछले 4-5 वर्षों की बात अगर रुकमा करें तो भारत ने प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी के नेतृत्व में जिस एक ताकत का एहसास कराया है, जिस क्षमता का एहसास कराया है, और तमाम मंचों पे अगर कहीं कोई दिक्कत आती है, परेशानी आती है, तो एक तरह से भारत नेतृत्व करता रहा। पेरिस समझौता हमारे सामने उदाहरण है। और G20 का भी मंच अगर आप देखें तो पिछले 4-5 वर्षों में ऑस्ट्रेलिया से अगर शुरुआत करें, साल 2014 में जब प्रधानमंत्री पहली बार मोदी वहां उन्होंने शिरकत की थी, जब उन्होंने काले धन पर प्रहार के लिए G20 के देशों से आग्रह किया था। उसके बाद किस तरह से न सिर्फ टैक्सेशन में बल्कि जो एक तरह से कहा जाता था कि सेफ सैंक्चुअरी टैक्स हेवंस इस तरह की कंट्री होती है, तो उनको भी डाटा शेयर करना पड़ा। और अब क्या स्थिति है वो हम जानते हैं, किस तरह से टैक्सेशन अवॉइडेंस ट्रीटीज हो रही हैं। तो निश्चित तौर पर काफी अहम रहेगा जब प्रधानमंत्री इन तमाम मुद्दों पर बात करेंगे। और भारत के लिहाज से देखें तो एज यू मेंशन इश्यूज लाइक टेररिज्म, स्पेशली टेरर फाइनेंस, द इशू ऑफ आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस, विमेन एम्पावरमेंट, द इशू ऑफ ग्लोबल हेल्थ की अगर बात की जाए तो भारत ये तमाम चीजें जो एक्सपीरियंस भारत का रहा है पिछले 4-5 वर्षों में, महिला सशक्तिकरण की अगर बात की जाए तो चाहे जनधन योजना की बात हो या फिर उज्ज्वला योजना में महिलाओं को एक तरह से सीधे गैस कनेक्शन देने की बात हो, प्रधानमंत्री आवास योजना के जरिए घर का मालिक उनको बनाए जाने की बात हो, हर स्तर पर महिलाओं को जिस तरह से ताकतवर बनाया जा रहा, तो एक तरह से भारत का एक एक्सपीरियंस है, उसकी बात भी प्रधानमंत्री कर सकते हैं। इसके अलावा हमने जो एनर्जी सिक्योरिटी जैसे मसले हैं उसमें एक तरह से तमाम मुल्कों को एक स्वतंत्रता किस तरह से मिले, और एनर्जी मिक्स की बात, क्योंकि भारत ने एक पहल की है, पर्यावरण एक बहुत बड़ा मुद्दा है। हम जानते हैं कि इस G20 के सम्मेलन में मैरीन वेस्ट को लेकर बहुत बड़े पैमाने पर चर्चा की जाएगी, खासतौर से जापान एक मेजबान देश के नाते इससे बहुत ज्यादा प्रभावित तो है ही, साथ ही साथ इस पर बहुत व्यापक पैमाने पर काम कर रहा है। लेकिन भारत की अगर बात की जाए तो पेरिस समझौते में उस वक्त जब अमेरिका जैसे देशों ने कहा कि उस समझौते से अलग हो रहे हैं, भारत ने कहा कि नहीं, दुनिया के लिए हमारा कमिटमेंट है। प्रधानमंत्री ने कहा कि हमारे भविष्य की बात है, हमारे बच्चों के भविष्य की बात है, तो भारत ने जो वायदा किया पूरा।
Right, Sudhakar Das there covering the event for us. As he said, India goes to this summit this year with having achieved a number of milestones in all aspects that are to top the agenda, whether it is energy security, working towards preventing climate change, India's contribution towards the international of the setting up of the International Solar Alliance, and also the efforts it has made to contain fugitive economic offences. Well, we seem to have lost contact with our correspondent there. Meanwhile, back in the bulletin, Prime Minister Narendra Modi replied in the Rajya Sabha to the motion of thanks on the President's address on Wednesday. In his over hour-long reply to the debate, the Prime Minister urged all members of Parliament to work together to fulfill the aspirations of the people who had elected them. He said the opposition should allow the Lok Sabha to function seamlessly, slamming the Congress party for raising doubts on EVMs. The Prime Minister said it was the sheer arrogance of the grand old party that made it unable to accept its defeat.
Replying to the debate on the motion of thanks to the President's address in the Rajya Sabha, Prime Minister Modi was critical of the opposition belittling the 2019 mandate. He said that such thinking was to insult the people of India who had voted his government to power.
आप तो चुनाव जीत गए, लेकिन देश चुनाव हार गया। मैं समझता हूं कि इससे बड़ा भारत के लोकतंत्र का अपमान नहीं हो सकता, इससे बड़ा जनता जनार्दन का अपमान नहीं हो सकता। यानी कांग्रेस हारी तो देश हार गया, मतलब देश यानी कांग्रेस, कांग्रेस यानी देश। अहंकार की एक सीमा होती है, अहंकार होना भी चाहिए, सीमा का कहां सवाल है।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi advocated the one nation, one election model while speaking of electoral reforms. He opined that the opposition's point of view on the subject was stereotypical. On the issue of EVMs, Prime Minister Modi said that one of the advantages of EVMs is that its convenience has increased the overall voting percentage. He advised the opposition parties not to blame the EVMs for their electoral loss.
आत्मचिंतन करने की जिनकी तैयारी नहीं है, दोष स्वीकारने की तैयारी नहीं है, अपनी गलतियों को स्वीकार करने की तैयारी नहीं है, वो फिर ईवीएम को ढूंढते हैं, ठिकरा ईवीएम पर फोड़ा जाए ताकि फिर अपने साथियों के सामने तो कम से कम हम बता सकते हैं, देखो देखो हम तो बहुत अच्छा काम किया, हम नहीं आ रहे, वो तो ईवीएम के कारण आ रहे। मैं समझता हूं इस प्रकार से न हम राजनीतिक कैडर का भला करें, राजनीतिक कैडर को निराश करने से कोई फायदा नहीं है। हिम्मत है तो आगे आइए, थोड़ी कैडर को तैयार कीजिए, फिर और चुनाव एक थोड़ा पूरा हो गया और चुनाव आने वाले हैं।
Prime Minister Modi said that former Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi had accepted the NRC as part of the Assam Accord. He said that the NRC is not about vote bank politics but an issue of national security. He targeted the Congress for promoting those involved in the 1984 anti-Sikh riots. He pointed out that they were holding constitutional posts. Prime Minister Modi rebuked the Congress party, asking them whether the old India they wanted was one where cabinet decisions were torn to pieces at a press conference and where naval assets were used for private picnics. Expressing pain at the mob lynching incident in Jharkhand, the Prime Minister was critical of mob violence in general, whether in Jharkhand, West Bengal or Kerala. He said that the perpetrators of such violence should be punished the same across the country so that the message goes out that the whole country stands united against such mob violence.
चाहे वो घटना पश्चिम बंगाल में होती हो, चाहे वो घटना केरल में होती हो, हमारा एक ही मानदंड होना चाहिए, तभी हिंसा को हम रोक पाएंगे, तभी हिंसा करने वालों को सबक मिलेगा कि इस एक मुद्दे पर ये देश एक है, सब राजनीतिक दल हैं, सबकी सोचें हैं, अब ये देश में ऐसा चीज नहीं चलेगी। और मैं मानता हूं हम उस जिम्मेवारी को निभाएं, राजनीतिक स्कोर के लिए बहुत से क्षेत्र हैं, उसका हम उपयोग करें, और इसलिए और मैं मानता हूं देश के हर नागरिक के सुरक्षा की गारंटी ये हमारा संवैधानिक दायित्व है।
Prime Minister Modi expressed sorrow at the sad loss of lives of children from acute encephalitis syndrome in Muzaffarpur, Bihar. He called it a failure and a shame.
हम सभी के लिए दुख की बात है और शर्मिंदगी की बात है कि आधुनिक युग के अंदर, और मैं मानता हूं पिछले 7 दशक में सरकारों के रूप में और समाज के रूप में हमारी जो कुछ विफलताएं हैं, उसमें ये एक सबसे बड़ी विफलता है। पोषण हो, टीकाकरण हो, सुरक्षित मातृत्व हो, आयुष्मान भारत योजना का लाभ हो, ये सारी चीजों का जितना ज्यादा हम प्रचार करेंगे, ऐसे संकटों से हम बचा पाएंगे।
The Prime Minister reminded members of what he has time and again said, that if Sardar Patel had been India's first Prime Minister, there would have been no problem with Jammu and Kashmir. He pointed out that 226 districts in the country need some form of intervention to deal with water shortages. The Prime Minister cautioned that the entire country should be aware of the challenges faced with regards to water management and that the Jal Shakti Ministry has been set up with that purpose in mind. Parliament Team, DD News.
The bills which are to be introduced in the Lok Sabha today include the Central Educational Institutions Reservation in Teachers Cadre Bill 2019 by Human Resource Development Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank, Indian Medical Council Amendment Bill 2019 by Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan, Dentist Amendment Bill 2019 by the Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan. The bills for consideration and passing in the Rajya Sabha include Special Economic Zones Act 2005, which has already been passed by the Lok Sabha. Union Minister Piyush Goyal will move the bill in the Parliament. And Union Home Minister Amit Shah, who is currently on a 2-day visit to Kashmir, will review the overall security situation in the state. On the second and concluding day today, Amit Shah is taking a review of the security and counter-terrorism and counter-infiltration operations at a high-level unified headquarters meeting to be attended by Governor and top brass of various security and intelligence agencies in the state. Besides, he is also meeting more delegations of people. Well, the Union Home Minister, who is on a 2-day visit to J&K, he reviewed the security arrangements for the annual Amarnath Yatra in Srinagar. He directed officials to ensure foolproof security for the pilgrims and tourists in J&K.
all security agencies to be fully alert and take all preventive measures to secure violence-free Yatra. There should be no laxity. Strict enforcement of the standard operating procedures should be followed. Senior officers to personally supervise the arrangements. Forces should ensure optimum use of the latest technologies and the gadgets, not only for the security of the Yatra, but also to facilitate the movement of the devotees and the tourists. For those deputed on the arrangement of the Yatra, he underscored the need for all the duty personnel to ensure proper conduct all throughout. Daily feedback of any shortcomings be taken from cutting edge level and real-time rectifications be made, he added.
The Union Home Minister also held another review meeting over several development projects in the state. He called for accelerating development and generating new employment opportunities. The Home Minister directed officials to ensure that benefits of government schemes reach the poorest of the poor.
The development review meeting focused on accelerating development, building infrastructure, good governance, inclusive growth for all communities, employment generating schemes for the youth, to name a few. The Home Minister has asked the state government to ensure that poorest of the poor person in the state should get the benefits of good governance in all spheres.
And the Home Minister will review the security situation in the state and also meet delegations of civil society members today. He will also meet a delegation of people connected to tourism and youth delegations as well. Before returning to Delhi, the Union Home Minister is likely to address a media conference in Srinagar. And our correspondent Anuj Yadav joins us from Jammu and Kashmir. Anuj, there's lots on the Home Minister's agenda today as well. He's to meet a number of delegations. A big boost there for, to elevate the mood in the valley, to bring about hope. How are people reacting?
देखिए बिल्कुल रुकना, जिस तरीके से कल उन्होंने यहाँ पर सुरक्षा के साथ साथ अमरनाथ यात्रा की सुरक्षा के साथ साथ यहाँ पर जो समीक्षा बैठक की है विकास कार्यों की, उसके बाद आज फिर से कई प्रतिनिधि मंडल हैं, डेलीगेशंस हैं, उनके साथ बातचीत करेंगे। जो बीजेपी के पदाधिकारी हैं उनके साथ बातचीत करेंगे, काफी जो सामाजिक संगठन है उनसे बात करेंगे, यूथ का एक संगठन है उनके साथ बातचीत करेंगे। तो कुल मिलाकर हम कह सकते हैं कि जो केंद्रीय गृह मंत्री अमित शाह की जो 2 दिन की जो यात्रा है, आज दूसरा उसका दिन है, जिस तरीके से उन्होंने एक एक पहलू पर बातचीत की है, यहाँ की सुरक्षा से लेकर यहाँ के जो कॉमन मैन है उसकी क्या जरूरतें हैं, उसके लिए क्या कुछ किया जा सकता है, निश्चित तौर पर एक जो उम्मीद घाटी के लोगों को थी केंद्र सरकार से और नेताओं से, वो कहीं ना कहीं पिछले वर्षों में जो पूरी होती नजर आ रही है, अब उसी का एक असर दिखाई देता है कि यहाँ के घाटी के अंदर जो शांति बहाली के लिए जो केंद्र सरकार की तरफ से प्रयास किए गए थे, उसमें एक जन भागीदारी देखने को मिली है, लोगों की भागीदारी देखने को मिली है। तो निश्चित तौर पर हम कह सकते हैं विश्वास बहाली की जो कोशिशें लगातार केंद्र सरकार की थी, वो इस एनडीए 2 में भी वो जारी है, एनडीए 1 के अंदर लगातार जारी थी। पूर्व गृह मंत्री राजनाथ सिंह कई दौरों पर यहां पर आए थे, प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी यहां पर आए थे, लेकिन जिस तरीके से अब एक बार फिर से एनडीए की बहुमत की सरकार चुनकर आई है, वो कश्मीर के अंदर जो है शांति के साथ साथ यहां पर विकास के कार्यों को और आधारभूत ढांचे को लगातार मजबूत करने के लिए प्रयास हैं, वो कर रही है। और एक बार से फिर से केंद्रीय गृह मंत्री अमित शाह ने सभी अधिकारियों के साथ बैठकर इस बात को कहा है कि अमरनाथ यात्रा जो 1 तारीख से शुरू होने जा रही है, उसमें यात्रियों की सुरक्षा के साथ साथ किसी भी तरह की कोई सुविधाओं में कोताही नहीं बरती जाए। और इसके साथ साथ विकास कार्यों को लेकर कहा है कि गरीब से गरीब और पिछड़े से पिछड़े व्यक्ति तक जो केंद्र सरकार की योजनाएं हैं वो वहां तक पहुंचनी चाहिए। निश्चित तौर पर आज फिर से दूसरा दिन है और प्रतिनिधि मंडलों के साथ, समाज के अलग अलग वर्गों के साथ आज फिर से बैठकों का दौर जारी रहेगा। रुकमा।
Right, Anuj, well, stay with us. Well, we also have with us in the studios senior journalist Praful Ketkar. Sir, a very warm welcome to you. Thank you very much for joining us. Well, the Home Minister's visit, as our correspondent also said, do you feel that it sends out a strong message of hope? Amit Shah beginning his innings in this manner when he talks of jobs, when he talks about the problems of the tourism industry, when he speaks to panchayats and such personal detailed interest. Does it send out a very strong message here?
It certainly does. You know, see, there are a couple of indicators. Just before his visit, separatist groups and Hurriyat, you know, they tried to send a message that they are ready for talks with the government. Secondly, first time in 30 years, some central minister is visiting the valley, but there is no call for Bandh. That clearly shows that the mood in the valley is changing, and there are primarily three reasons for this. There is a multi-pronged approach to deal with Jammu Kashmir situation. The centrally sponsored schemes are being closely monitored under the governor's rule, and the projects are being completed in a phased manner with defined targets. Second most important thing is, as far as the security personnel and the police officials are concerned, they are given freedom to take actions as far as the infiltration and terrorism related activities are concerned. So we see in January to June there are more than 133 such actions that are being taken, which is a very big number. Thirdly, and I believe, as if my information is correct, Home Minister is going to meet also the family of the slain police officers, as well as the representatives of the local self-government elected representatives.
Right.
Now that is, I believe, is a very strong message. Rukma, please try and understand the entire discourse of Valley has been monopolized and manipulated by certain groups and families, and they claim that they represent entire Jammu and Kashmir.
Right.
The real voices of Jammu and Kashmir, whether in the valley or Jammu or Ladakh, they didn't find their say while having dialogue with the center. I think Mr. Amit Shah's visit is providing that opportunity, and that participatory approach is a big change.
Right, and particularly when he talks to sections like the panchayats, for example,
right,
who have been threatened, for so long, who have lived in fear for so long. And well, what about the Hurriyat's attitude, expressing willingness to speak, to come out, with the center? How do you feel that the government's multi-pronged approach, as you just mentioned, how has that led to this?
See, basically when you are engaging with the real stakeholders, the people, we can't forget another dimension to this, the way NIA has taken action on this, the funding sources of these entire groups. So practically, as Pakistan is getting isolated on international front, even in the valley, especially the politics of Jammu and Kashmir, and especially in the valley, these Hurriyat and separatist forces are getting completely irrelevant.
Right.
And that's why, to find some kind of relevance, always remember, if you take history of last 30 years, Amarnath Yatra and ceasefire during Ramzan, they use for regrouping, again taking control over the narrative, spread messages, spreading rumors. Now government knew this very well, and that's why this governor's rule is proving to be blessing in disguise, where government has taken all the measures even before the yatra, much before the yatra, to take control of the security apparatus, and at the same time the separatist mindset that was indirectly supporting infiltration and all other violent activities, they are also sidelined. So the primary objective of this visit to review, because from 1st July Amarnath Yatra is starting, and it is a very big pilgrimage when it comes to Jammu and Kashmir, and it defines the entire development within the valley, because it revolves around Amarnath shrine and the yatra activities. So I think this is a very, very strong message to the people who are ready to talk within the parameters of Indian Constitution. They are welcome, but whoever is talking about the language of Pakistan, sorry, you don't have any space in this dialogue process.
Right, and there's lots more to look forward today as well. In Amit Shah's visit, he'll be speaking with youth delegations.
Yes.
A lot of the groundwork for that coming to the table to speak and discuss issues that was laid in the past 5 years.
See, this has been a process, and many, in fact, earlier Mr. Rajnath Singh also tried to talk to many of such groups. But again, many times whenever some kind of dialogue was initiated, whether groups like Hurriyats or even the so-called mainstream political parties always manipulated that dialogue process.
Right.
In their interest, because ultimately it is a small coterie of few families
Right.
who always try to vested interest, not just to say vested interest, but entire, again, change of approach. How does it happen? Budgetary, I remember in 2015, if I am not wrong, first time government, central government in budgetary allocation made specific provisions related to development projects of Jammu and Ladakh. Now Ladakh has become a separate division. The projects in the valley are monitored by the center. Now all these things, it's not that earlier governments didn't give funds to Jammu and Kashmir. In fact, Jammu Kashmir has always received, beyond the central security forces and all those support, financially it has got the largest share. But there was no sense of accountability, transparency as far as implementation of and utilization of that funds are concerned.
Right.
So that has changed. And there I believe this participation of real stakeholders, whether aspirational youth, whether women, whether the police and other security personnel who are from Jammu and Kashmir, and also various social cultural organizations who find stake and who are looking forward for a peaceful development oriented Jammu Kashmir, who is not known just for problems but also for its own cultural and economic heritage.
Right. Well, Mr. Praful Ketkar, thank you very much for joining us there on the breakfast show and for all your inputs. We'll have to leave it at that for now. Meanwhile, back in the bulletin, on a 3-day visit to India, U.S. Secretary of State Michael Pompeo has called on Prime Minister Narendra Modi in New Delhi on Wednesday. Both the leaders exchanged views on various aspects of India-US ties. His visit aims to inject new energy into the relationship between the two countries. Later, there was a meeting between the US Secretary of State and National Security Advisor Ajit Doval. Fighting terrorism was on the agenda in the discussions. The US Secretary of State also met his Indian counterpart S. Jaishankar, continuing the wide-ranging partnership. Both leaders held constructive talks across a range of issues on bilateral and regional aspects. Addressing the media after the talks, the External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar said that with the aim of broadening dialogue between the two largest democracies, discussions were held in the field of energy, trade, Afghanistan and terror. Meanwhile, Mike Pompeo has expressed his government's continued interest in building stronger relations with India and working together to realize a shared vision and goals.
Audio okay? Audio okay? Is the audio okay? Finance World, audio okay? Audio okay? I'll check, audio okay, audio okay, audio okay.
And the Prime Minister congratulated Doordarshan's special program Vartavali on completing 4 years of its inception. The Prime Minister sent his congratulatory message on the occasion. The program is an incredible effort, he said, to make Sanskrit popular amongst the common man. He also said people's inclination towards Sanskrit has increased globally in the recent past, and Doordarshan's effort towards this is unparalleled. And time now for the latest updates from the world of finance. My colleague Achal Gulati joins us on the show. Achal, a very good morning to you.
Well, thank you very much, Rukma, and good morning to you as well. And let's have a look at what are making headlines in the world of business. And first of all, we are going to talk about RBI. RBI has said all data related to payment transactions must be stored in the country, and that such information, if processed abroad, will have to be brought back within 24 hours. The data should be deleted from the systems abroad and brought back to India not later than 1 business day or 24 hours from the payment processing. The clarification has come a week after the government said the RBI would examine concerns around its strict data localization guidelines. The central bank also said the data stored in India can be accessed or fetched whenever required for handling customer disputes as well as for any other related processing activity such as chargeback. The RBI had released data localization guidelines on April 6, 2018. News from CBDT. CBDT income tax authorities will now share details of assets of borrowers and their guarantors with public sector banks in the case of loan defaults. The move is aimed at preventing promoters from siphoning off assets that are not disclosed to banks and comes close on the heels of the income tax departments and goods and services tax authorities deciding to share details about taxpayers and defaulters with each other. Decision to share details to bank comes in the backdrop of borrowers not disclosing complete assets to lenders to safeguard them being party of any recovery proceedings. The department receives a lot of information on assets, including from which returns, which will now be shared with state-owned banks and lenders. Details of bank accounts of borrowers beside the list of movable and immovable assets will now be available to them. Another news from RBI. RBI has asked public casting aside their doubts to continue accepting coins of various denominations which are pumped in circulation regularly. The RBI puts into circulation coins minted by the central government. According to RBI, coins have distinctive features which are being introduced from time to time with various themes, economic, social and cultural reforms in order to meet the transaction needs of the public. The RBI appeals to the members of the public not to give credence to such rumors and continue to accept these coins as legal tender in all the transactions without any hesitation. Currently, coins of rupees of 1, 2, 5, 10 and 50 paisa denomination of various sizes, theme and design are in circulation. RBI also asked all the banks not to turn away customers who come to exchange coins at their branches. And that's all we have in this edition of Finance World. Back to Rukma for more updates.
Well, thank you very much, Achal, for those for all that news from the world of finance. It's time now for sports news here on the Breakfast Show. Well, we begin with Pakistan's win. Pakistan kept their hopes of a World Cup semi-final place alive as they moved to within a point of England with a 6-wicket victory over New Zealand. Babar Azam's century saw Pakistan home in front of a partisan crowd at Edgbaston after Shaheen Afridi had ripped through New Zealand's top order. Pakistan's win with 5 balls to spare leaves hosts and pre-tournament favourites England in more danger. And Team India will look to take another step towards confirming a semi-final berth when they take on the West Indies in a crucial encounter. Today, Virat Kohli and company had a close shave against Afghanistan, and they would not want this match to go that close. West Indies have come close to beating more fancy teams in the tournament, but have failed to get a result. And Lancashire's iconic Old Trafford Stadium will host 6 ICC Men's Cricket World Cup 2019 fixtures, including a semi-final. The ground itself is no stranger to World Cup cricket, having been used in the 1975, 79, 83 and 1999 editions of the tournament. Our correspondent Anil Thomas takes a tour of the famed stadium before the India versus West Indies match, and this is what he has to say.
Well, we are back in Manchester, one of the busiest venues of the 2019 World Cup and home to County Club Lancashire. This particular venue is unique in its own way. It's a 2-hour drive by train from London and a 5-hour through bus. That's the National Express that you take to reach this venue. What's interesting about this ground, it's got a capacity of 24,600. There are 5 matches in the league stage along with the semi-final played on this very ground. India has played 1 game against Pakistan, managed to win that by 89 runs, and all the 3 games that have finished on this ground have been won by the team batting first. So it's unique in its own way. When I say unique, if you win the toss, you need to bat first on this track because that's what the record has been. India is taking on West Indies on this very track, a sitting capacity of 24,600 on this very ground, and Manchester is known as the birthplace of computer, and technology seems to be everywhere in this ground. If you see, this is the old stands that you see that have been put together to see for the fans to enjoy the game. Those are temporary stands that have been put all together there. You see that entire rack, that's a temporary stand that's been put to accommodate more fans. Because India was playing Pakistan, then India is playing 2 games on this track. So, you know, you have a lot of Indian fans dropping into the stadium or flocking to the stadium to catch the team in action. So you've got this artificial or you've got this temporary stands that have been put up there for people to come and enjoy the game of cricket. India versus West Indies is, I would say, you know, anyone's guess. India the hot favorite purely because India has been unbeaten in the tournament. For West Indies, their World Cup party seems to be ending with no hopes of a semi-final, but they can play party poopers to many teams, and India could be one of them. So we expect a good game of cricket between India and West Indies, and we surely cross our hearts when India takes on West Indies at Manchester. We beat Pakistan. Can we do it again here on this Manchester track? That's worth watching out. With video journalist S. J. Shankar, this is Anil Thomas signing off for DD News from Old Trafford.
And from sports, we now move on to take a look at the top stories published in the newspapers from the national capital. We begin with the Hindu. Well, in fact, most newspapers have covered this as a major highlight of the day. India and the United States resolving to work through their trade differences. Basically, it focuses on Mike Pompeo's visit to India, his meetings with the top leadership, the top Indian leadership, the various talks, the various issues that have been touched upon, and so on. And very quickly now we move on to the Pioneer, which has as one of its stories on the front page, very interesting, the Congress and left snubbing Didi's unity call against the BJP. There's a picture here of Mamata Banerjee, who has been much in the news, of course, for all the wrong reasons, even as the state teeters on the brink of, clashes here and there almost on a regular basis. Well, moving on now, another, political story. The Indian Express has this picture. It has this headline, Greatest Hits Trump 2020, Identity Politics, it says, with a focus on guns, crime and immigration, likely to dominate Trump's re-election campaign. And it talks about the various issues, the scenario in the country as it is now, even as Trump seeks re-election. And then, of course, we go on to sports. The Times of India has as its top story on the front page India's position in the ICC Cricket World Cup. It says Team India aims for Caribbean cruise. Virat Kohli's commanding men look to continue their winning spree against on the brink West Indies. The article has a comparison of the 2 teams and how they are balanced. And finally, a short piece again in the Times of India, even as it is pilgrimage season. It says why you need to see a doctor before planning a Char Dham trek. And it says in the absence of medical checkups, those who are too old or unfit for the Yatra escape screening, often paying with their lives. And this is a kind of precautionary article about stressing on the importance of a medical checkup before going on a pilgrimage. Well, these are the top stories of in some of the major newspapers of the national capital. Let's take a look at the historical events that took place on this day.
On this day in 1838, Bankim Chandra Chatterjee, the famous novelist, the father of modern Indian fiction and the writer of the national song Vande Mataram, was born in the town of North 24 Parganas, West Bengal. On the same day in 1880, Helen Keller, the blind and deaf American woman who became an accomplished writer and humanitarian, was born in Tuscumbia in Alabama. In 1939, on the same day, Rahul Dev Burman, nicknamed Panchamda, considered one of the famous music directors of Indian film industry, was born in Kolkata. On the same day, in 1964, one of India's best-known female athletes, P.T. Usha, was born in Kerala. She remained the queen of the track and field for almost 2 decades. P.T. Usha was formerly called Payoli Express and the Golden Girl because of her awesome speed on the track.
And time now for today's Outlook, the events listed for later in the day.
Union Minister for Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Nitin Gadkari to inaugurate the MSME Day and International SME Convention 2019 and give away India SME 100 awards in New Delhi. The Bombay High Court to pronounce the judgment on all petitions challenging Maratha reservation. The Securities and Exchange Board of India, SEBI, to hold a board meeting in Mumbai to consider an overhaul in the mutual fund industry regulations and guidelines on DVR shares with superior voting rights, among other things. Judicial custody of Nirav Modi given by a UK court ends today. He is wanted on fraud and money laundering charges amounting to nearly $2 billion.
And here's a look at the maximum and minimum temperatures in cities across the country in our weather report. Well, we've come to the end of this edition of The Breakfast Show. As we go, we'll leave you with glimpses of dance performances by Japanese grannies on the streets of Osaka to welcome the world to the city that is set to host leaders from G20 countries. Take a look. Namaskar.
Let's talk, let's dance. Here is Osaka, wonderful city. Oh, my, Osaka. Oh my God, the funniest city in the world, the funniest people in the world.